All right, welcome to today's Strictly Plumbers Millionaire Podcast. We're talking to Christoper Brinkley from Southern Brothers Plumbing. This gentleman opened up his plumbing company in 2021 and within 8 months made his first $1 million doing plumbing. He loves the water heaters. Christoper, can you tell us a little bit about what the heck happened in 2021? How did you get so blessed? How did you get all these customers to make your first $1 million in $8? Tell us some good stuff, buddy.
Man, it really started strongly with word of mouth. I came from owning a remodeling company for about 6 years prior. COVID hit. Everybody knows the impact that had on a lot of businesses, and I was just looking to find a way that I could keep things rolling, keep a good amount of income for my family, and I switched over to simply service plumbing. I tried Thumbtack. I can't tell you. I went through a ton of avenues and never really did much of the Google leads, anything like that. Thumbtack was a big provider of the start to my service work in my area outside of word of mouth, because obviously in my previous business, I did remodeling. So a lot of those things I didn't offer anymore. So I still had repeat customers, but really the biggest thing that gave me my success in reality is consistency and communication. Every time we stepped on the job site, we went above and beyond for our clients. We provided options, which is super important in the service industry. You got to give people choices, whether it's a low income option, a mid income option, a high income option. You'll get that usually depending on the, area that you're working in. But consistency and communication was number one for me, man. I really just made sure that I always did the highest quality of work. I communicated with my customers and I showed up when I said I would. And a little thing that I like to do, I'm sure there's other people that do it as well, is each and every customer that I do work for, I follow up with and I let them know how thankful we are for giving us the opportunity to earn their business.
That's a nice personal touch. I like that. I like that. That's pretty cool. So I think you launched right around COVID was launching or something, right?
Yeah, it was it's right towards the fall off of COVID. COVID kind of, with the remodeling company, man, I just couldn't keep help. Nobody wanted to work anymore. I couldn't get subcontractors for the things I didn't do, like drywall and painting. I strictly kind of just did the frame and plumbing, electrical type aspect of it, and then I subcontracted the rest of it out. But it just got impossible to find people that were reliable. So had to make a life change, and man, I'm glad I did.
Definitely a life-changing event. That's really cool. Everybody's got a really good success story that comes on the podcast. And so we're going to be asking you, so what would be one of the things that, I usually ask the guys, what did you do to hit your first $1 million? And what did you not do? Or what held you back from hitting your first $1 million? But I feel like you hit it so fast. It's like, what held you back? Sleep?
The thing that held me back a lot, that I had trouble with at the beginning was really, and it's kind of dumb, but it was the service fees, man. If you break it down, I was not about charging somebody $69 every time you come out, the dispatch fee. And I started doing the math on it. I actually joined a program called Certain Path. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or not. It used to be formerly Success Group International. Stuff that companies like Hiller and stuff use to grow their companies. Well, I joined them and they really broke it down for me and showed me how to explain that to the customer of what they're getting in that $69. And if you break it down, I think in 2022, I did 1,347 jobs, I think it was. And if you break that down and you take 1,347 times $69, that's like $100,000. That would have been left on the table. And when I started factoring that in, even if I didn't get the job, I still had that income. So if I went out, people weren't happy with the price, they didn't want to move forward, which we kept a pretty high conversion rate. I think on the year, my conversion rate was like 92% on the jobs that I converted. I mean, it was unreal, man. It was just really unreal on how much success we had from the time that I opened the doors until I hit that first $1 million.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at your face as you're saying this, and you have a face that you could like, know, and trust, and I'm sure that people will you're like, it's just easy to trust you. You don't look shady, you know. You don't come across like you're gonna rip somebody off or fast talking.
Being clean cut and keeping a good presentation is key too. You can't be one of these dirty, clothes just thrown everywhere, hanging out of your pants, stuff like that. You've got to be presentable in order to be successful in this industry. Well, you're going into people's houses, and I mean, we go into people's houses that might have $100,000 house, and we go into or multiple million. I mean, it's just, you got to carry that same level of professionalism across the board, no matter which situation you're in. So,
yeah. And I like that you have tattoos and you're professional as you are, because just because people have tattoos doesn't mean that they are not looking professional. There's a bunch of dudes that are beasts and big time experts that have tattoos, and so yeah. I think it's like what you say, and what the eyes read a lot too, and so you don't look like you're doing drugs or anything like that. So
yeah, no drugs here. Don't even drink.
Drugs over here. No, and so I feel that people easily gravitate towards you for the trust factor. You probably know this about yourself. People trust people for different reasons. Some people trust them because of the education, and they're like, wow, this guy just really knows his stuff, right? And some people trust others because of how genuine they are. It's not so much like, oh, you know everything. It's just like, you're a solid dude. You're not going to lie to me. You're not going to cheat me. And so there's different ways of trust, right? But anyways, let's talk about the next topic. What are you doing to hit your next million, and what is that amount?
The next million obviously would be 2, because I had my first million in 22. But really, man, at this point, I'm just trying to expand and get some more trucks on the road. My goal, and other people's may be bigger. It's just what I personally know that I can handle without a extreme level of stress. I'd like to have 5 service trucks on the road. Eventually, I feel like between those, I can keep between a $3 to $5 million a year company rolling with that. And I really need to spend more time on the business itself. I need to get out of the truck, and I kind of have a guy right now that lets me do that from time to time, but I need multiple guys. I need somebody that can do 100% what I can do and put me in the office where I can start working more on my reports and fine-tuning the behind the scenes things to help it run even more efficiently than it already does. Because honestly, I'm surprised it runs as efficient as it does now with me being in a truck. So
that's awesome. I'm going to piggyback on that because it's something I'm going through in my company when hiring people. And I think that all business owners go through this struggle. So everybody will relate to this. Depending on who you hire will depend on the quality. Sure. Well, then you got money, right? So depends on how much you pay them will depend on their quality. Well, there's going to be some guys that think they're worth a lot, and so I've got some rule of thumb about hiring. And I just want to take the time to talk about this real quick is, one of my friends from Chick-fil-A that owns a Chick-fil-A applies the 3 C's, and they're very simple. And I'm going to piggyback and add another one of my lessons learned in the last 2 weeks. So when hiring, we always want to see if these people are capable of doing what we need them to do. And so we get the resume and we're like, all right, what's up, bro? You capable of doing this or what? And hopefully they're a good plumber. And if they're a good plumber and they're honest, and we can work with them. Hopefully they can work for us. Well, I think there's so much more. I think that people forget to question character a lot more. And so after capabilities, the next C is character. Will this person do the right thing when nobody is looking? That's one of the questions I like to ask myself. And then I'll ask them questions about what's the most trouble you've been in? What do you do for fun? So I throw some, try to stay away from the politics and the sex and the religion and stuff like that. But hey, I want to know if you're, are you legit or what? Right. And you're going to hire at my company. Politics, they start with me, bro, not anything else. So I need to know what I need to know. And if you don't like my questions, then don't come to my interview. Right. And so I feel like a lot of these millennials are so entitled these days, and I feel like the sense of workmanship is not what it used to be. So other than like, are they a good character? You know, will they do the right thing when nobody is looking? You have the third C, which is culture. You know, culture is this person going to fit the culture of my company, or are they going to be bumping heads with some of the guys or myself or some of the rules that we have in place, right? Culture is a big deal. And I'm not saying just like rules. I mean, what kind of jobs do you guys like to do? So like, for example, Southern Brothers Plumbing does all of plumbing, but there's a lot of guys out there that will be like Tony's drain cleaning, just making it right now. And this Tony guy loves to do drain cleaning, even though he can do plumbing. And what do they do the most? Drain cleaning, right? And so I feel like when we hire these people, there's usually some type of specialty they have, right? And so like, let's not try to get a flying fish. Let's get either a fish or a bird, because when we try to put these two, sometimes they're Frankensteins, but they're out there. And this is the fourth lesson that I've learned here in the last 2 weeks. I've had to fire and hire multiple people in the last 30 days. Okay. That's not normal for my company. Turnover is not high, but I had 2 people that I had to dismiss. So it's like, as you bring in new ones, you know, I got some other guys in my company that did so well. And I'm thinking, well, what separates these guys from those guys? Their resumes both look good. They both said the right stuff. Managers is what made the difference, brother. So we either hire in worker bees, manager bees, or owner bees. We're the owners. We need managers.
You gotta find people's niche.
You know, and so I feel like for the people that have management skills, they're just a better fit for my company versus employee skills, right? So if you're going to hire a plumber, hire like a master plumber or a plumbing manager. Imagine how far a plumbing manager would. And doesn't mean he's going to run all your shop. No. Make this guy help you run your shop, you know? And so I feel like when I hire, and they've got to come from a management position, you know, versus like a regular worker bee position. And so maybe as a plumber, there's going to be these like field supervisors, right? Maybe they are master plumbers, right? Hire those guys instead of like 2 years of experience or 5 years of experience. Go way ahead. And so anyways, that's been something that has been a world of a difference on how proactive they are throughout their day. You know, some guys don't even, some worker bees don't even know what that word means. You know what I'm saying? So if you're asking them questions about being proactive in the interview and they're not answering super detailed, and it sounds like, you know, it's like, don't even like that person, like that's a big deal. That's usually a management skill, right? Owners get it too. You want to be proactive. But anyways, just a few lessons learned about hiring, you know, and I feel like depending on what's in the market will depend like what you get, right? So hiring plumbers is kind of a big deal. So I'm going to show you guys something really quick. If you go to a website called plumberhiring.com, all right, it's not where like homeowners go hire a plumber to do work. Let's go. I'm going to show you guys a link that will help you guys hire more plumbers. Okay. So we provide a service that will help you hire plumbers. So I invented this hiring test, and the test goes through service and repair questions. You know, it's not really meant for like new construction, like a bunch of codes and stuff like that. This is really built for strictly service and repair, you know, and it works really great. So it's only $340 a month for anybody that doesn't have like a really good hiring process. You may need one, right? So it's like, we can help you hire plumbers, apprentice, laborers, dispatchers, managers. It's really a hiring opportunity is me advertising your job opportunity. So what does it boil down to? Advertising. right? And so you got to advertise your job opportunity to all the plumbers that, like, some guys are looking for a job, and there's a reason for that. I really like to get the quality and cherry pick some quality from what I need from as a business owner, instead of just like take what's out in the market. So anyways, I put together something for you can have for free, and it's a blueprint. And there's a lot of words in here, right? Other than the video. And it shows you where you would be going to, like, go and basically hire plumbers. You might heard of some of these, like Glassdoor, Job Inventory, Job Boost, right? There's a whole bunch of them. LinkedIn is another place to do it. My Job Helper, right? The list goes on and on. I listed about 22 of them in here, including ZipRecruiter. Now, some of these work better than others, right? And so there's like a top 5, but here's a 20 different platforms where you guys can advertise your job opportunity. And if you need help with this, we only charge $340 to help you launch your job application campaign and help you hire plumbers for your business that are qualified. And we put them through the test of, the service and repair test before they even get to you. And I rate them low, medium, high so that who's coming your way. And then you build up this like Rolodex filled with plumbers that are, looking for work. So I'll give you an example. We have a client by the name of Happy Plumbing out of San Diego, California. They're located in like the East County, I believe like Lakeside area. They hired us this year for that service. So far, they've hired 8 plumbers and kept 6.
Nice. Good turnover.
It's a good turnover, dude. And for $340 a month, we're talking about like an hour or 2 of your service or time.
Yeah, that price sounds pretty solid for posting across all those sites, because I know I listed I think I did one on ZipRecruiter and Indeed, and I think I paid close to that just to get the premium search filters and stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of in-app costs with those other ones, and that sounds like a pretty solid deal for anybody looking for that.
Yes, sir. And anybody can find it over at www.plumberhiring.com. I own it. Okay. I actually created that I would say almost 2 years ago. It's been around for a little bit, but anyways, let's get into the next question. What do you feel that your plumbing company needs help with at this moment, Mr. Brinkley?
Really, honestly, just more employees. The amount of work I got coming in, I just need more help. So maybe I need to go to plumbershiring.com.
Yeah, it sure sounds like you do, for sure. And anybody else listening to this, right? We'll connect after and I'll get you dialed in and stuff like that. But so tell us about, I want to know your success story a little bit more. Let's have some fun with the questions. I see that you were 19 years old. You were in you say you're in the wrong crowds and stuff like that. And then you started your family and business, and then you grew this. Tell us about your success story.
Yeah, man. So at 19 years old, I got in a little bit of a hiccup. We'll just go with that. I got in a little bit of a hiccup, and it put me in a position that a lot of people use as a crutch to say that it kind of puts them against odds. And I'm just not a person to accept that something can hold me back from doing something. And I just kind of put my nose down, man. And I separated myself from anybody in my life that was a negative influence. I actually went and worked out of town for about a year to kind of get myself away from the area I came from. It wasn't like drug related, nothing like crazy or nothing. I got caught up with some people that got in trouble for doing something. I happened to be with them when it happened. It got me involved in a bunch of stuff. And then, I probably carried a job for about 3 years. I was working for a big home remodeling company in Nashville, and I was a lead foreman with them for about 3 years. And I started to notice a few things that were unethical that the owner of that company were doing. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm not going to keep standing and working for these people that are just, all they care about is the money. I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to focus on the quality of my work and dealing with the customer directly and making sure that they're satisfied and keeping these people happy. And that's where the remodeling started. I was pretty successful with it for quite a bit of time. And then, you know, COVID hit, it got very hard. Like I said earlier, you know, the lack of workers, et cetera. And, you know, probably about 3 to 4 years after I started my remodeling company, I started seeing the change in pace. So I started planning and predicting my exit strategy from that company. And, you know, I've got 2 beautiful boys, a wife. You know, we've built a good family, and we got a nice little house way out in the country on 3 acres that is just peaceful. And, you know, really my biggest success story is making that jump to plumbing, man. Anybody looking to come into this industry, it's just it's so profitable, and it's really just amazing what you can do just going out there and working every day and doing simple plumbing tasks. I mean, it's just really amazing. You know, it was really hard for me doing everything by myself, doing remodeling. And I'm just glad I made that switch to doing service plumbing, because it's been the best decision I've ever made.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love the story. I think it's great. So let's switch gears here. And I want to ask you about, what is it that you do for fun? I think you're into cars like I am, right?
Yeah. Car shows.
I
like going to car shows. I own a 1971 454 big block super sport 4-speed El Camino. My dad's got probably 10 different between 50s model Chevys. Yep, there's my El Camino. 10 different like 50s model Chevys and old cars and everything. He's just got a ton of them. But yeah, that's my little nice house. It's nothing flashy or fancy. Just because you make money don't mean you got to spend it on a house. On a big one at least. But yeah, I paid $110 for that house, man. I've got 3 acres, cost me $110,000, 3 bedroom, 2 full bath, about 2,100 square feet. I mean, it's a nice little spot out in the middle of nowhere, away from everybody.
Awesome. Sounds like you got some more money left over for another car.
Yeah, I only paid $9,000 for that car, man.
That's amazing.
I got to sell it. My dad found it in a barn. He bought it with I think a 53 model Chevy. He bought those together, and he sold it to me for what he had into it. So,
wow, I think it's super clean. I like how you very, very, very clean. All right, so let's go on to the next question here. Let's talk about your exit strategy. You know, everybody's got, some guys are going franchise, some guys are selling, some guys are turning wrench until they drop. Tell me about your exit.
I don't know how long I'll be turning the wrenches till I drop, but I hope maybe mid-50s I can step away. I really want to get to the point where my kids are older and see if it's something that they're interested in taking over. That's kind of why I chose the name I did, because I've got 2 little boys, so I named it Southern Brothers. I'd like to build this so that they have something of value to make their lives a little easier once they get older. You know, they're still gonna work. They're still gonna have to get their hands dirty, but you know, I'm hoping at least one of them at least wants to run the company, even if they don't do it directly as you know, doing the plumbing work. I'd love for them to have that and be able to continue to pass it on, because I kind of label myself a 2nd generation plumber, even though my dad strictly does septic. But I mean, there's still a lot of plumbing knowledge involved in that. If not, I think septic's probably harder than actual plumbing. But it's just something I'd really like to build for my kids so that they can have something to stand on when they get older. But they're 4 and 6 right now, so I got a ways to go. I still got some time out here to get my hands dirty. So
that's awesome. I have 2 girls, and they're 6 and 9, but the other one just turned 9, so they're 2 years apart, kind of like yours. And just because so like the boys are usually the plumbers, right? The guys are the boys to men, and men become plumbers, and there's some women plumbers out there. So I don't think I'd want my girls to become plumbers, but I would like them to be in business, you know. And so because, well, I mean, it's just a hard job, right? And so let them run the business. We got to have this business mindset. So I've been trying to teach my daughters, like, own the business, don't just work at the business, you know. And so I want to talk about my first boss ever. When I was 19 years old, I was hired at Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, because my uncle got me in, and it was 2001, and he was there since like 1988. And he's still there, you know. He's one of their managers. But the owner had like 5 girls, all daughters, and they had these big dreams of not doing anything with plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to become attorneys and ballerinas. No, they grew up and they had like the decision. There wasn't ballerinas anymore. It was like it got serious, right? They became adults.
Yeah.
They wanted to do these professions, and they're about my age. And I swear, by the time I hit like 30, I saw them all at the shop. They must have went out throughout their 20s, did their thing, tried out life. Dad and mom hooked them up with investment or whatever they wanted. College. They went through college. They got degrees, all these things. And then they went out and got a job and they're just like not happy. So it's like, well, you're over there working for your ass off. You should come over here and work for your family business. That's the biggest plumbing company in San Diego, literally. So then they came. And one by one, he put them in certain departments. And this is where the guy ended up creating like a restoration, lining, and he had his girl an HVAC, and like he just created other departments. And you got to get a different contractor's license for HVAC versus plumbing. So he ended up having his daughter get the license, and now she's super involved. Her heart's in it because she's that involved. And it took that to get them involved in the family business. And they had to go through their college and everything else. And they ended up at the shop. And they ended up marrying plumbers on top of that. Go figure, right? Hey, of course.
See, I don't necessarily want my boys to have to do the plumbing, but I'm going to teach them, and they're going to get their hands dirty at one point, because I'm sure a lot of people feel this way too. I've worked for a lot of companies where you work for somebody and they want to tell you everything on how you're supposed to do things, that you do it like this, but they've never touched it in their life. I want them to have the knowledge, so that way, if they're giving that advice and they're giving that direction to someone, they know what they're talking about, and they can be just as educated as that licensed plumber or that master plumber. I would prefer though that they be able to be in my position when they get there, but in the process of them growing up, I'm going to make sure that they have those fundamentals and those skills, and too, so they can do it themselves. I've always told my kids, I even tell them now, like, you're going to learn to change a plug. You're going to learn to do this. You're going to learn to do that, because you're not going to have to call and pay somebody to do that. You need to be able to fix that on your own.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah. Good job, buddy. Good job, Dad. So last question here, we're going to wrap it up, is give you the opportunity to take the mic. And is there anything that you would like to talk about before we wrap up?
Really, the only thing I can say, and it's something I'm actually a little side note that I'm working on right now, the school that I graduated from, I've been talking pretty directly with the principal. He was my assistant principal when I was in school, but he's now the main principal there. I'm trying to put together a trade program at the school, not necessarily where you do the trades in school like you do with like FFA and do the block laying and all that stuff, but I want to start being able to go into these schools in my community and talk more directly about trades, because it's something we don't have here. There's a lot of places that they do have it, where they bring people in, they talk about the trades, et cetera, but I really want to be able to walk in and educate these up and coming generations on how important what we do is to our communities, and being able to know these skills and the life that it can give them. Because I mean, we know, being in this industry, that we've seen all our friends that went off to college and they wanted to be this and that and this and that, and they're struggling. And we live lives where we can take our families on vacation for a week, stuff like that. I mean, I'm in Orange Beach right now, but it's a good basis to start off. Even if they don't choose to do it, I think it's something important that every kid should experience. And it's something I'm really wanting to get into, is to being able to put that in the schools and being able to go and talk to them about, kind of similar to what we did today, ask about what's my success story, look at where I was when I was 19 years old, look at where I'm at now when I'm 33, just the life that it can provide for people, and what the importance is, because the end of the day, the world's not going to stop being built. There's going to need plumbers, there's going to need electricians, heating and air, all these trades. There's a necessity for us in this world, and it's really just starting to fall off. You're seeing less and less people as these kids get older and older that have zero interest in doing what we do.
Yeah, and I think the interests are going somewhere else. I'll give you a brief example we can't talk about too much is if you don't go in there and teach these kids in the schools, somebody else is going into these schools and teaching them other stuff that I don't really like, bro. You know what I'm saying? In California,
social media has become a big thing too. A lot of these people are making it just seem like, which I mean, social media can be a great career. You know, I see a lot of people that make millions of dollars doing it, YouTube and the TikTok and all that stuff. I mean, even I have like 25,000 followers on TikTok, but I'm not taking it anywhere. You know, I'm not going to be rich and famous off of it. But it's just everybody just seems like they're trying to find the lazy way out these days, and I don't see nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's great especially if you're doing something that's productive and does good for the world in what you're doing with social media or whatever. But you know, just posting videos of you getting drunk and you know doing stuff like that, you know, I just don't see that as a sustainable thing. And you know, I want to make sure that the straight bar to keep those rolling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, this wraps up today's Strictly Plumbers Millionaire podcast. It's been super cool hanging out with Mr. Christoper Brinkley, who opens up a plumbing shop and makes their first million in 8 months. This guy. So for anybody that wants to watch some more podcasts,
a tad bit of luck maybe on my side.
I think you did great, buddy. Well, for until next time, everybody enjoy your week. Happy 4th of July. It is July 2023 right now. And so, Mr. Brinkley, enjoy your vacation there in Orange County. And I'll see you guys on the next show. Peace.